As the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve, Emily felt a chill run down her spine. He was alone in his small cabin deep in the forest, miles away from civilization. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and adding an eerie soundtrack to the night. Emily tried to shake off her discomfort and focus on her book, but the feeling of being watched persisted. He looked around the dimly lit room, his heart pounding in his chest. Suddenly, there was a strong knock on the door. His breath caught in his throat as he hesitated and was not sure whether to answer or not. The knocking became louder and more urgent. He approached the door slowly with trembling hands and carefully opened it. In the doorway stood a figure shrouded in darkness, their faces hidden by shadows. Emily's pulse quickened as she tried to make out each feature. "Who are you?" he managed to stutter. The face remained silent and only approached the dim light of the cabin. Emily was horrified when she saw the flash of the knife in their hands. When he realized that he was alone and defenseless against this aggressor, panic surged through his veins. Desperation gripped him, and he frantically searched for a way to escape. With no phone signal and the nearest neighbor miles away, she knew she had to rely on her wits to survive the night. Moving forward, Emily's mind flooded with fear. He moved to the window, his only hope for freedom. With a burst of adrenaline, he opened the door and jumped into the cold night air. Branches scraped against his skin as he ran blindly through the dense forest, his heart pounding in his ears. Behind him, he could hear footsteps following him, fueled by a primal instinct to survive. Emily ran for hours until her legs gave out. Exhausted and terrified, he fell to the forest floor, the distant sounds of the chase dying out. Alone in the dark, he prayed for the dawn to rise and bring with it the promise of safety. But when the first morning light illuminated the forest, Emily's heart sank. Standing before him, covered in morning mist, was the figure of the night before. "Happy New Year's, Emily. Let the games begin," they whispered with a cold smile. Emily's blood ran cold as the figure's words echoed through the silent forest. Fear gripped her heart as she realized she was trapped, alone with this sinister stranger. Summoning every ounce of courage she had left, Emily scrambled to her feet and darted deeper into the woods, desperate to evade her pursuer. Branches clawed at her skin, roots threatened to trip her at every step, but she pressed on, fueled by sheer terror and the will to survive. Hours turned into an eternity as Emily raced through the labyrinth of trees, her breath ragged and her muscles burning with exertion. Yet no matter how far she ran, the figure remained a haunting presence, always just a step behind. With each passing moment, Emily's resolve waned, replaced by a creeping sense of hopelessness. The forest seemed to stretch on endlessly, its shadows swallowing her whole. She was lost, both physically and emotionally, in a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. Just when she thought she could run no further, Emily stumbled upon a clearing bathed in the soft glow of dawn. Relief flooded through her as she collapsed onto the dewy grass, her chest heaving with exhaustion. But her moment of respite was short-lived. As she caught her breath, Emily heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps drawing near. With a sinking feeling in her gut, she turned to see the figure emerge from the shadows, their sinister smile sending shivers down her spine. "Congratulations, Emily," the figure murmured, their voice dripping with malice. "You've made it this far, but the real game has only just begun." With a sense of dread settling over her like a suffocating shroud, Emily knew that her ordeal was far from over. With every fiber of her being, she vowed to fight on, to defy the darkness that threatened to consume her. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting its golden light over the forest, Emily made a silent promise to herself. She would survive this New Year's Eve horror story, no matter the cost. And with that determination burning bright within her, she braced herself for the challenges that lay ahead, ready to face whatever twisted trials awaited her in the depths of the wilderness. With a renewed sense of determination, Emily gathered her wits and scanned her surroundings for any sign of escape. Clearing the sanctuary offered little protection, but he knew he couldn't stay there for long. Ignoring the pain in his limbs, he pushed himself to his feet and went into the dense undergrowth, weaving through the trees with the stealth of a hunted animal. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of branches sent a shiver of fear through his veins. But he continued with a fierce determination to survive. As the day wore on, Emily's senses were on high alert, her mind constantly racing with the need to outwit her stalker. Relying on his instincts to guide him through the unforgiving wilderness, he searched for food and water. But just as he began to believe he might have the upper hand, disaster struck. A misstep sends Emily down a steep embankment, her body hitting rocks and branches as she tumbles into the darkness. When he finally stopped at the bottom, battered and bruised, Emily knew she was in trouble. With every movement, pain shot through his body, and he realized that he might have broken something. He tried to assess his injuries with his shaking hands, but the pain was too great. Tears stung his eyes as he fought against the waves of torment that threatened him. But even in her darkest moment, Emily refused to lose hope. Relying on reserves of strength she never knew she had, she pulled herself to her feet and limped forward, her determination to survive burning brighter than ever. Hours turned into days as Emily struggled to navigate the treacherous terrain, her body reaching its limits with each passing moment. However, through sheer grit and determination, she refused to give in to despair. And then, just when he thought he couldn't go on any longer, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. A faint smoke wafted through the trees, indicating the presence of civilization nearby. Emily pushed forward with a surge of adrenaline, her heart pounding in anticipation. He knew salvation was just over the horizon, and he vowed to reach it no matter the cost. As she walked into the compound, her body battered and bruised, but her spirit unbroken, Emily felt a sense of relief. Because in that moment, she knew she had defied the odds and emerged victorious from her New Year's Eve nightmare. And as she sank into the waiting arms of her rescuers, the echoes of her ordeal faded into the distance, replaced by the promise of a new beginning and the hope of a brighter future. With respect to all dear readers, since your time is better, but let me implore you to support what you produce. If you like and enjoy this video, please like and comment. Also, if you want and have enough time, please subscribe to our channel to be informed about our future content. I hope you will accept our humble request and accompany us in launching our useful improvement and development. Thank you very much.